You know, this is one of those movies where you should avoid the trailer at all costs. Welcome back, guys. I just finished watching the Crucifxion. It is directed by Xavier Gens. And if I could be honest, I would literally rate this movie a 4 or a 5 out of 5 just based on the cinematography, because it's a really good looking film. I mean, like, we have some great overhead shots of like the scenery. Like, we got a good look at the mountain, the villages that they are in Romania themselves, the way like that they shoot the holiday that's going around this event and stuff like that. It looks really amazing. But then we get into the paranormal stuff where I have some issues with the movie, and let's talk about that. So the movie is about Nicole, who's this journalist who is investigating the death of this nun who was said to be possessed. They did an exorcism, and like the movie title says, it ended up being crucified by this like inexperienced hipster looking priest. And in some ways this movie reminded me of the exorcism of Emily Rose, because it's the same kind of premise. You know, you have a priest that's going to jail or is already in jail, and at the same time we have like the whole investigation going on with a lot of flashbacks going on in the background, you know, showing us how this nun got possessed and, you know, what happened to her. In a way, the character of Nicole is very interesting because she doesn't believe in God and she doesn't believe in faith, and while she's investigating and doing all these things, talking to the priest and like having fantasies about the priest, like, it doesn't really make sense as to why is she trying to convince a priest that, you know, there is no God, there is no faith. And I found it interesting, but at the same time, as we learn through the film, it doesn't really add up, and in the end it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense as to, you know, what Nicole's goal really was. I mean, obviously, you know, as she's investigating, things happen to her, but that's a given because this is a demonic possession movie, so we're eventually gonna get that. But what I did like about this film was that it was based in Romania. Apparently somewhere I read that this was a true story. I'm not sure how, you know, true that is, but I like how they use the cinematic shots in this film because they look beautiful. But aside from that, guys, the movie itself has a lot of like long exposition scenes where they're just explaining things to the audience, and that gets really boring to me. Now, I said earlier in the beginning in my intro that, you know, I should have avoided the trailer to this movie, and I honestly feel like 90% of the stuff that I saw in that trailer was shown in this film. Like, literally, the trailer was a 2-minute short film version of what the actual 90-minute running time was. And a lot of the jump scares or like important things that you see in the film is in the trailer, so it made it really predictable for me to, you know, find out what's going to happen in the film. And then again, like I said, you know, a lot of the jump scares are on there, and the fact that they use some sound effects every time, it doesn't really help build the suspense. Now, the movie itself does have a great opening shot, but aside from that, I really didn't find any other ones really like out there like that would make me go like, oh my god, that was a really scary moment. Because not only is everything a jump scare, it's also, its score doesn't really go with it. It doesn't help build that suspense to a higher level. And after I watched the movie, I went back to watch the trailer. Maybe I was just over exaggerating because I felt like I did watch everything already before I even watched the movie, and when I went back and watched the trailer, I was like, wow, that literally was the movie in the trailer. So I would recommend not watching the trailer to this movie. But to me, guys, in the end, this movie was actually pretty well acted. You know, like, Nicole herself did a pretty great job, but I think the way that the movie went with the dialogue and the exposition was just a little bit too much and overblown for my liking. The cinematic views, the cinematography of this film is great. Like, I mean, like I said, the movie looks amazing. They have some good presentations, but at the same time, like, the plot and then the dialogue and all that stuff, they didn't look as good for me. Some of the scenes with the demonic possession themselves were really creepy. I'm not gonna lie, like a lot of the stuff with the spiders they do was scary as hell, and it was really creepy because those spiders were in places that you do not want them to be. But guys, I feel like this movie doesn't really stand out from any other demonic possession movies that you've seen before. Like I said, you know, it kind of reminded me of The Exorcism of Emily Rose, and actually some other ones like The Devil Inside, I believe, is another one that it kind of reminded me of. So if you guys are into demonic possession movies, I would recommend checking this one out. And its running time is like 90 minutes, which actually felt longer than 90 minutes, and that doesn't really help me. So in the end, guys, I'm going to give this one a 2.5 out of 5. So my question to you guys is, you know, what's a good demonic possession movie out there? Like, besides like The Conjuring, The Exorcist, something that maybe is like underrated and not a lot of people have seen. Because other than like the main ones that have came out, like, you know, The Conjuring ones, The Exorcism ones, you know, what other ones are there? Because I feel like that's all we are getting nowadays. So guys, if you guys are new to my channel, please make sure to subscribe. Also hit the little like button at the bottom, and make sure to like share this video with your friends. But as always, guys, stay tuned.